Hello everyone, welcome to the Q&A session. I hope you enjoy my presentation on blue ammonia and also Mr. Al-Manouf's presentation on decarbonisation via green ammonia. We're here to answer any questions you may have on both of those subjects. So if we could get the ball rolling, have a question here already. And this is from Mr. Al-Manouf. We've seen some blue ammonia cargoes obviously leave the AG for Japan in recent weeks and months. When do you think we might see a substantial cargo load on an ammonia tanker? How far away are we from the first substantial cargo of merchant blue ammonia? The AG, please.
Thank you, Richard, and good morning, good afternoon, actually, for everybody. As I highlighted in my presentation, Richard, that in SABIC, we demonstrated the concept of supplying blue ammonia, as you also demonstrated in your presentation. And we have an infrastructure to do it in larger scale once there is a demand and supply for that. But for a larger, let's say, capacity, I believe there is a demand for infrastructure to be developed, which is a CO2 sequestration, as I highlighted and mentioned in my presentation.
Okay, good. And there's no doubt global blue ammonia capacity is going to increase substantially over the coming years. But how significant a challenge to producers like SABIC do you think is going to be posed by green ammonia producers and all these investors and companies looking to grab a share of this market as the technology develops?
See, as I mentioned in my presentation, infrastructure within SABIC, and capability within SABIC, we can produce larger quantity. However, if you see the potentiality of the green ammonia, green ammonia, if you take, blue ammonia, if you take it as a product, it will take its own, let's say, natural development, starting from, let's say, introduction of grades, then the maturity of the grades, then the decays of the grade. However, I believe blue ammonia will be within a transitioning period to go to more to the green ammonia, which is, I believe, a transition. That transition period could be 15, 20 years. And that depends on, I believe, the infrastructure availability and also the electricity price if you compare it with the green ammonia.
Okay, great. And as my presentation mentioned, we've seen a lot of interest in the blue ammonia from back in Japan. But have you been contacted by, buyers in other parts of the world or in other parts of the region? I appreciate these things are sensitive, but where do you think demand could come from for blue ammonia? If we exclude Japan in the medium term, what other countries or regions of the world do you think are really going to embrace blue ammonia?
You see, countries now, there are a lot of countries looking for blue or decarbonization, because those blue and green, Richard, is very essential elements in decarbonization. And that's the blue ammonia grab the attention for everybody. It's not only in Japan, but other countries. As we speak now, we are speaking to a couple of guys, but I cannot mention the name right now. But there are a lot of potentiality around the globe, and we are talking to some of the customers in different countries.
Okay, and I guess kind of leading into that as well, do you think demand for blue ammonia is going to come more from the industrial sector or from the agricultural sector, from other fertilizer buyers?
I believe for all, it will be either from a fuel sector or an energy sector or from an agriculture, because of, I believe, the drive that's looking for a decarbonization point of view. This is number one. Second, from an agriculture point of view, also we hear about today in presentation about sustainability dimension, where you need a very low carbon footprint of products that will serve the industry, serve the environment, and will help the industry grooming from a sustainability point of view. Short answer, Richard, I believe it will be both for a fuel and for a chemical or agriculture industry.
Okay, thank you. So we've got some more questions now coming in from the audience.
Yes.
One of the delegates has asked, what is the position on NOx when ammonia is used as a fuel in power stations? So again, that's something we're seeing in Japan with the co-firing. Have you got any thoughts on that, Manouf?
Can you repeat the question, please?
Yeah, so what is the position on the NOx emissions when ammonia is used as a fuel in power stations, such as we've seen in Japan with the co-firing?
I know the co-firing for the power plants, yes, NOx will be there, but there are a couple of solutions to those. And I believe the industry is ready to remove those, let's say, or harmful components. By the way, co-firing now, it's reached about 20%, if I'm not mistaken, as a ratio with the natural. As I mentioned, from a technological perspective, there is a solution for the NOx. If I read or hear the question right, Richard.
Okay, thank you. And my presentation touched upon the regulatory side of things. What kind of challenges specifically to the GCC region do you think is going to be posed for blue and green ammonia? How can governments encourage companies? How is it going to be regulated? How is it going to be certified?
Good. I mentioned in my slides a couple of challenges, infrastructure availability, which is very crucial, especially CO2 sequestration, cost association with the transportation of the CO2, cost of hubs for the sequestration, and another challenge is certification. And I will add to that is the facilitation from government, which is, I believe, it will help if there is an incentivization to the industry. This will be, let's say, paving the road for the industry to move on to the blue ammonia and pushing the market. I know regulation will come, but I believe in order to make the industry as an industry, as a blue ammonia industry, you need to incentivize the industry with other let's say options from maybe some certification, as you mentioned in your slides, or other ways of incentivizing the industry in order to move. Otherwise, it will be very heavy to be borne by the industry, since there will be a cost associated with it, not only the modification of the plant, but as I said, CO2 or infrastructure in general, which is transportation and the sequestration hub for larger quantities of blue ammonia, Richard.
Okay, thank you. I've got a question here that I think is more addressed to myself, which I'll do my best to answer, and that's about ammonia as a marine fuel, and how far away are some of the technology companies in developing these commercial engines. I mean, we've seen companies around the world right now who are looking to develop this technology to power vessels, and it's undoubtedly it's going to be rolled out over the next I think 3 to 5 years. There's a Finnish company who are looking to get a commercial engine on the water by 2024, 2025. And I think once the smaller vessels have been installed with those engines, once they have proven to work, once the cost efficiencies have been brought in, then we're going to see it rolled out to larger vessels, the transatlantic vessels. We saw recently, I think Mitsubishi has signed a contract for a large ammonia tanker. So there's definitely all these plans in the work, but obviously it takes a lot of strategic planning. It takes a few years to get these developments to a commercial scale and financially viable. Munif, have you had much contact with ship owners and ship brokers about the kind of marine fuel side of things for blue ammonia?
Not me, but the team. I believe we have our logistic team. They contacted. They are in close contact with also collaboration with our colleagues from Aramco.
Okay, thank you. Okay, just waiting for some more questions to come in here, but on the green ammonia side of things, we've seen big ammonia producers, not so much in the GCC, but other parts of the world looking to embrace it, the likes of Nutrien and Yara. Again, are you as a producer? I appreciate these things are sensitive, but is there a kind of a group, industry-wide engagement on this? Everyone wants to move to decarbonisation. So is there constant liaison between producers, between buyers, between important industry players like SABIC and the other big producers?
See, blue ammonia, let me brief blue ammonia now. It is under development, and I believe blue ammonia will not see momentum unless there are two major, let's say, elements being achieved, which is enhancing, bringing the infrastructure to the level which is from an electricity point of view. And I believe the price, as you highlighted, the capex is almost double if you compare it with the gray or a blue ammonia. So the price of electricity, in my opinion, it should be lower than 2 cents a kilowatt in order to make it visible. Back to your question, did we have a consolidated or consortium of a producer that's looking for a blue ammonia? No, but we are doing it with a couple of technology licensor, big names in the field. We have a couple of relationship with them, and we are working closely with them in a certain, let's say, element from a green ammonia perspective. But for example, a competitors or a consortium, no, we are not part of that, but we are bringing a licensor or a developers of blue ammonia together within our let's say radar in SABIC. In addition to that, we are looking also for small developments or startup developments of blue ammonia. Green ammonia.
Okay. There's another question come in here from the audience. This is specific to SABIC. I know you have actually probably answered this question in your presentation, but I'll ask it anyway. So somebody's asking, what is SABIC's program for achieving carbon neutrality in ammonia production by 2050?
We already had our own roadmap cleared, and shortly we will announce, SABIC in general will announce targets for carbon neutrality. And I mentioned blue and green ammonia as a major, let's say, elements in decarbonization. And as I also mentioned in my close statement, that decarbonization will not happen unless you have a blue and a green, and to some extent electrifying certain parts of plants or electrification in general. And I believe those are the major hubs, unless there is innovation or technological breakthrough that will change a model. But in general, we have our clear path in decarbonizing our assets, either from, by the way, scope 1 or scope 2 or scope 3, because in agriculture, I believe the challenge that agri-industry will face will be in scope 3, whereas the volatilization of the urea and other elements associated with it, you need to pay attention to it in order to make sure that you can reach to the carbon neutrality or the zero neutrality on the time span that you are looking for.
Okay, thank you. No questions come in there while you were speaking. So somebody's asking about the water footprint in the GCC region on overall energy consumption and CO2 emissions for blue ammonia production. I'm not sure I've heard that phrase before, water footprint. Have you heard of that? Have you any comments on that?
No, but he's looking for maybe a reduction in water. See, in SABIC, from a sustainability perspective, you have reduction in water and energy and other and CO2 footprint. In general, in SABIC, we have a very long history in even Dr. Al-Jawhari also highlighted that in the industry, people are moving to reduce the carbon footprint in general. And we in SABIC, we are part of the industry, and we excel in a very, let's say, extended way of reducing water and enhancing or reducing the energy, enhancing the water efficiency, and reducing the footprint big time. And I believe that's available in SABIC sustainability report if anybody would like to see how much the progress that we are. And by the way, this will be part of the decarbonization elements within the industry. You cannot de-link them separately, but you need to link them together, either decarbonization or energy with water efficiency and other elements from sustainability point of view.
Okay, thank you, Munif. Okay, again, we've got about 5 minutes left here if anyone's got any further questions. I mean, just generally, the traditional ammonia producers, they are going down the blue ammonia route. The investment is not as substantial for converting their plants to ammonia rather than standalone new plants of green ammonia. We've seen quite a lot of the big global energy companies like BP, Total, to get involved in blue ammonia. Is that something, as a producer, that do you welcome this healthy competition from these new players?
It is open, let's say, field to play, and I welcome it because those will enrich also a new platform of a low carbon, let's say, a product, and I believe that will enhance also certain elements from technological perspective and from market perspective. So I believe it is an open field to play, and everybody is welcome to play if they have the wealth and the experience on this field.
Okay, thank you. Another question's come in here from a delegate. So they're asking, I'll try and address this first, Munif, give you a bit of a break. It's asking, person's asking, is there a possibility that by the time technology for marine use of blue ammonia as a fuel develops on a large scale, that technology of green ammonia achieves cost parity, therefore making it much more competitive? I'll have a quick go at answering that. I mean, certainly, as my presentation showed, the blue ammonia, I think, is the short and medium term solution to decarbonisation. The green ammonia, all the costings we've seen internally and externally, you're looking at quite a large premium right now. But as we know, whether it's with TVs or other technology, once you kind of achieve that first breakthrough, then the technology does kind of get cheaper each year. So I think in 10 years there's going to be a mix of the blue and green ammonia as a marine fuel, certainly. But I think certainly the green ammonia, what we're seeing is that's probably going to be more used as hydrogen. There's the big plant in Saudi Arabia that's coming online in a few years on the Red Sea side of the kingdom, and that's been identified as hydrogen. Hydrogen is going to be used for transportation uses. Now, whether any of that's going to go into marine transportation, we don't know at this stage. We don't know how exactly it's going to be allocated. Munif, have you got any comments on the marine fuel side?
No, I believe Richard is spot on what you are saying. Still, to be honest with you, it is a new product that will be developed. There are a lot of challenges, as I highlighted, from infrastructure point of view, from a cost point of view. As we speak, some of the producers, they are producing between bracket hybrid, let's say, way of producing hybrid, let's say, green ammonia, but partially green ammonia. However, a key aspect of it is the advancement from technological perspective. And I believe if you can move that toward development of infrastructure, in additional reduction of cost from electricity price point of view, I believe green will come to the picture. And I believe, as a Munif personally, that it will green ammonia will pop to the surface within its time. Once its time will come to be introduced. But definitely, without if you see a challenge on the industry, green ammonia will be one of the solutions in a place hand to hand with the blue ammonia.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. And we've got time for one more question. So again, from a delegate, they're saying we see a position where plant revamps have a bolt-on green element to create a hybrid green or blue ammonia plant. Any comments on this? I mean, I'll just be. You've seen that in the Americas.
I believe, as I said, there are now, for lower cost from business point of view, you could do a hybrid. It has not yet been received very well from a market point of view, but this is one of the solutions that you can see. You can start with, let's say, 10-15% and then grow it up. And I believe this is the normal practice in any introduction of any products.
Exactly. We've seen it in the Americas with the likes of Nutrien and CF Industries adapting their plants and putting bolt-on options with relatively small capacities like 20,000.
Yeah, but Richard, the key is about the certification, and I mentioned about the certification, how you will certify that. That's the key also to take it into perspective.
Great. Okay. Well, thank you, Munif. Thank you, everyone who's joined today. I hope you found Munif's presentation and my presentation interesting. Our contact details are on there if you have any further questions. There's now going to be a break of 25 minutes. So we look forward to seeing you again then. And there's more exciting presentations coming up for the rest of this afternoon and also tomorrow. Thank you very much for your time. All the best.